black students, we need to know our history.
The black history we're being taught in public schools is repetitive.
As a black high school student, I want to learn more about my history in the school books.
We need to update our books.
As black American students, we deserve an accurate depiction of what black history truly is.
I want to see myself in these textbooks.
In the public school system, black history is vague.
Why don't the school books ever talk about the Freedmen's Bureau?
I created the workbook for the African American family. This book helps fill in the gaps that the school books don't. Purchase the workbook for the African American family on OurStoryPublications.com and use the Cash App $OurStoryPublications.
It was discussed on the space. What have Pan-Africanism ever done for foundational black Americans? What benefit have we ascertained from Pan-Africanism? Well, if you mosey on down the scholarship of Dr. Claude Anderson, one would find that Africa is not unified with itself. Unity is not a familiar term on the West African jurisdiction of the continent. In fact, according to Dr. Claude Anderson, they have no unity. Dr. Claude Anderson says, quote, Black West African sense of community was narrowly and divisively based on tribal origins rather than the commonality of black skin color and collective racial destiny. Anderson posits, tribal and extended family commitments rarely extended beyond the village compound. They don't get along with each other. So where is this unified Pan-African front? What does Pan-Africanism mean? Does it mean wearing a dashiki? Does it mean going to Africa? Apparently not, because my times in Africa doing studies and helping build a school on one occasion, build a library on another occasion, I don't recall seeing a Pan-African. Wani has spent more time in Africa than I have. Wani, while you were in Africa, did you ever meet a Pan-Africanist?
Never.
What do they stand for?
They just want to come around. They just want to say, hey, guy, we should all be united. If we're together, everything will be good. And then you just go, oh, okay, that sounds good. And then they go away. They don't do anything. If you press them and you say, hey, come back over here. What are we going to do together? Oh, nothing. I've got my stuff. I've got my little area in your neighborhood, and you're not welcome to go into it. I'm not going to shop at your stuff, but I'm going to open up stores and try to get you to buy my stuff while we all buy our stuff.
Preach.
See, what's yours is mine, and what's mine is mine until I get your stuff, and then you have no stuff. That's just been what the thing is, and I have not seen any benefit. And in fact, I'm wondering, what is that 1.3 billion people doing? Why are they quiet? Why are they always saying that we should speak up about some atrocities in Sudan and some atrocities in the Congo and some atrocities in, where's the other atrocity? I forgot. Whatever. They have all of these things. There's a couple of issues going on, but they want to use our talking points that no one cares about what's going on because it's Africa. No one cares. Your war or whatever it is not as interesting because A, it's the same group. People want to see some other religion or some other racial group or something going against something. They don't care if two Congolese groups are beating up each other, it doesn't get the same attention. And it's not invasions from somewhere else. That would get attention as well. But because they're all in the same country doing this, and we can't figure out how they're different. Now, they'll probably tell us that they're different, or either they'll say, well, these guys are paid rebels. They're being paid to do this. Whatever the case is, there's not enough definition between the groups for us to feel interested in what they're doing. At least with the Boko Haram, they could say, oh, well, they're part of this terrorist group, so they are different. That got more attention. Corrupt police within SARS, that got more attention because that's the police. And they're their own ethnicity, as we know. They're just weird. They're another type of people. So there's no, really definition between some of these fights that they're having, and that's why it's not getting the attention. At least be different tribes if you want to get attention. But they're acting like us, 40 million people, are the only people that can speak, and the 1.3 billion, they don't have the power to say anything. That they're just all non-player characters. They just hang out in the background and wait for us to do something, and we're not even on the continent. So I'm confused if all we need to do is band together for this imaginary race war that we've never had before, that's never going to happen because everyone is not thinking this way. You can't even convince Europeans that they're white. If you say, oh, you're white. No, I'm not. I'm Greek. They won't admit to being in some white club, even though we think they're going to admit to it. And hey, if under pressure, they might admit to doing it if we all start attacking them because they're white. But technically, they don't even think that way. This imaginary race war where we all band together with everybody brown against everybody white, that's not going to happen. If it was going to happen, why aren't they doing it now? They have 1.3 billion people. Why aren't they doing anything with that big mob of people? They don't even speak the same languages. They're not connected to each other. They don't like each other. They want each other out of each other's countries. It's insane for us to think we want to band together with emotionally damaged people and do anything with them. It's ridiculous to think that way.
Well, Wani, I want to push back on you a little bit and disagree with you. I don't think they have their own language. According to Dr. Claude Anderson, page 109, Black Labor, White Wealth, second paragraph, Dr. Claude Anderson says, quote, the Arabs, let me say that shit again, the Arabs fabricated a trading language. Do you know what that language is, Wani?
What? Swahili?
Swahili.
Oh, my God.
And you want to know why they did it, Wani? Check this out. Let me say it again. Quote, the Arabs fabricated a trading language, Swahili, to facilitate trade. So the Arabs taught them a goddamn language so they can steal their shit.
Oh, my God. That's why. Oh, tip. Oh, no.
Let me teach you a language so I can communicate with you when I'm stealing your shit. And I'm supposed to be unified with that? Don't ever come to me talking about we don't have a language. You don't either, motherfucker. That's some Arab shit. But I digress.
And the Pan-Africanists want us to speak that, right?
Yep.
Huh.
So, Professor, are you saying Kuji Jakalia is Arab?
Yeah. I'm saying it was made by the Arabs. The Arabs got together and said, let me teach these damn fools a language so I can communicate with them to finesse them. Swahili.
Well, that's all they were doing over there is trading. Remember, they nearly created the Ethiopian cuisine because they were so busy trading spices. However, it was a soft invasion. They used trade as a soft invasion, you see.
Yep. Dr. Anderson said, quote, often they exerted religious pressure and continually fostered holy wars that weakened the great West African empires. Arabs labeled black Africans pagans, then pressured them to disavow their own West African culture and practice of ancestor worship to accept instead Arabic culture based in the Islamic religion. This cultural and religious conversation undermined blacks' African heritage and broad sense of black community. There is no unity. They are unified up under religions that don't even belong to them. That, from my studies, were tampered with to and weaponized to conquer. Dr. John Henry Clark said, Islam is a handmaiden of conquest, and not Christianity, but Christendom is a handmaiden of conquest. You see, at its core, Christianity, I believe, is real, leading back to Kemet, but it was tampered with at the Council at Nicaea 325 AD and weaponized against melanated people to conquer them. And when you go to, those of you who've been to Africa, either East or West Africa, I haven't been to South Africa yet, but East or West Africa, know that they are just absorbed in religious ideology with white pictures of Jesus everywhere. In Black Africa. But I'm supposed to unify with them?
Now, you know this Tyler character, we've got her fans in a snit. They're mostly South Africans, and they said that Tyler doesn't need Black Americans or America to be popular. And she's being featured in Variety and Vogue Britain. Are these people on massive amounts of crack? Hello? How are you going to use our goddamn music genre and be in some sideways Vogue Britain, which is a knockoff of Vogue, and Variety, which is a knockoff? How in the hell are you going to use knockoff publications and use our music genre, and you don't need us? You're already using us. These people have got some serious brain damage. I need to know how this is going to happen. Has there ever in the entire universe, in any time or space, been a hip hop star that has not used America or Black Americans?
Preach.
Ever? There's never been a superstar that had nothing to do with America. Where are they? This had to be before there was an America.
Right. It's a big problem. Pan-Africanism benefits a couple of finessers. And I'm under the impression, based upon evidence, that Pan-Africanism is associated with three-letter agencies. My evidence of that would be, first and foremost, the first Pan-Africanist, William Delaney. I don't have the book in front of me, so I'm going to have to paraphrase it. But Martin Delaney, Martin Delaney, as I read in the great... Do I have it? I might have it. Hold on a second. Ha! I have it. I thought I might have brought it. Stand by 1 minute while we look up Martin Delaney and let me expose some truth. Well, first and foremost, Martin Delaney was the first Pan-Africanist. Got it? Well, Martin Delaney, if I could paraphrase it right quick, worked with those African tribal chiefs. Now, furthermore, he was 04 in the United States Army. That's a field grade officer, a major. In the Army, they call it a major. From my experience in the total force community, making it, gaining rank as an officer is hard as hell. You know what I'm saying? In the total force community, getting commissioned first lieutenant, second lieutenant is that's your first commission. You earn through taking tests or getting advanced promotion your O2, your second lieutenant, and O3 is it's called it's not a wing level. Yes, wing level. So basically, the region has to vote on you to make captain. 04 is political. I'm saying 04 is major. So Martin Delaney making major back in the 1800s means that the I don't know what they call it in the Army. Maybe Robbie Blue could help me with that. Is it battalion? Or basically they have to vote on him to become 04. And you meaning to tell me right after slavery they voted on him to become a major officer? Furthermore, he went to Harvard Medical School as a black man. That to me gives me the impression that he was connected, right? I've always felt that way. Well, the other way, I found the smoking gun. The smoking gun is Delaney was in lockstep with African tribal chiefs. He was an op. The first Pan-Africanist was an op.
Just like Fenda Lawrence,
Yep.
connections directly to Africa, and God only knows what else. And because he was directly connected to Africa, he may want to be African, but that has nothing to do with us going through an ethnogenesis that he didn't go through.
Right. When I find it, I'm gonna read it. I'm looking for his name in the book. This is an old book. Delaney. Yep. When I find it, I'm gonna hop in. Let's see, William Delaney. What's on your mind, Kush?
You know what? I want to get to do Pan-Africans push poverty. I just want to get there because we see the rapid decline of the Pan-Africanists and the whole thing. It's going downhill. But again, like I said, there are some people that I do. I think they have some good information. I like to chew meat and spit out the bones with some individuals. And one thing that I see as a common thread is that they, in one way or another, would say we don't need reparations. So, for instance, we'll just use Dr. Umar as an example of a person who, he has never really been for reparations for foundational Black Americans, saying that, people need fiscal education, people need to learn how to manage money, but yet and still he's, on TikTok, Instagram, Live, and whatever, letting us know that he has a building, an asset that's about to be seized by the government for unpaid taxes and so on and so forth. I just feel as though these people have taken Pan-Africanism, if you will, and they turned it into another type of church. I think sometimes people think church means a building for worshiping a God, but church is a form of gathering together for a common cause, if you will, in some ways. And I feel like that's what the Pan-Africans, they did. They were able to pull people from, see my air quotes, the Christian church, if you will, and bring them into the Pan-African church. And they convinced people to give them their money without any type of accountability. But also, in turn, telling people that you don't need reparative justice. And I think that's if anybody that's not pushing you towards excellence holistically, whether it's spiritually, financially, physically, mentally, emotionally, that's not a person that you should want in your life. And I think that's a failure on our part, not holding pastors and bishops and reverends and whoever in the Christian church accountable, but then by extension moving on to Pan-Africanists and their, see my air quotes, church, they were never held accountable. And so they only pushed, nobody has ever pushed holistic healing and reparative justice for foundational Black Americans in specific. And, they always talk about making sure that the Africans or the Caribbeans or all of these migrants or these immigrants, they are getting some type of tangible, but they're never pushing that for us. They're always telling us that it's okay to be poor. It's okay to wait on God. It's okay to wait for a handout or whatever the case may be, or give me your money because you don't know what to do with it. So it's just certain things that, looking back in retrospect, in my opinion, Pan-Africanism did not benefit the foundational Black American community. It was just another church. People just moved from one church to another and not really understanding that whatever you're seeking to better yourself should be something that's bettering you holistically, mind, body, and soul, and spirit. And I just don't see that with Pan-Africanism.
Oh yeah. I sent y'all a text that put it in Jumbotron. My Jumbotron's back back in operation, so never mind. I'm about to give y'all some evidence that I want y'all to use ad nauseum. This is coming from Great Negroes, a very old book that I found in my grandmother's basement. Hold on, stand by. Let me put it in here. And I want y'all to read this. And when Pan-Africans come up, give it to them. Let's look at right above Martin Delaney's head, if you will. It's second paragraph, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, like the 10th or 11th line. It says, Martin Delaney was indeed a proud Gullah and Mandingo blood, which flowed in his veins. He was one of the leaders of the great debate following the passage of the Fugitive Slave Act in 1850. His pride of race was so great, he became a spokesman for blah, 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 race, and was so great, who felt that America was, listen to this, he felt that America was too inhospitable for persons of African descent. Really? After serving as a prime mover in several conventions of free Negroes to discuss the possibility of immigrating to Africa, in 1859, Delaney led the first, only exploratory party of African-born Negroes to Africa. In the region of the Niger River, Delaney's party carried out scientific studies and made agreements with who? Several African chiefs. He was in lockstep with them African chiefs. And a government op. Pan-Africanism was doomed the moment it was created.
No, I was going to ask, do you feel that the Pan-Africanists don't want us to get reparations because they want us to be in need, and this would somehow make us just get focused on our own lives and not pay attention?
I think, yes. I think that I think it's deeper than that. I think Pan-Africanism is an operation to distract our land-based identity and to have us looking over there. But the old folks used to try to tell us, Dr. King tried to tell us, what did they say? Keep your eyes where? Keep your eyes on the prize. I'm sorry, I was talking kind of loud. But keep your eye. Oh man. But keep your eyes on the prize. And Pan-Africanism takes our eyes off the prize and sends it somewhere over there. Look over there. Don't look over here. Look over there. And I think that was a deal that Delaney made. Again, like I tell my students, when you're doing high educational functions, the taxonomy is analyzed, right? So imagine two Venn diagrams. Hell, we can do a 3-circle Venn. Let's put Martin Delaney in there. Let's put in the other circle, let's put W. Du Bois. In the last circle, let's put Alain Locke. What do they have in common? There goes I'll tell you what the commonality is: Harvard University. So how do you become the first black man to get a PhD from Harvard when they didn't accept black people? How do you become the first black man at Harvard Medical School, which is still hard as hell to get into today, when they didn't accept Negroes? Do you make deals with people?
You're propped up for some reason.
There you go. Could the reason be poisoning the black community?
Yes.
There it is.
Now, I want to go over some of the, we've heard of CARICOM, which is the Caribbean's request for reparations. And I want you, not only are they asking for reparations, but they don't want us to get reparations. And let me just name off some of the things they're asking for, so you can see that we're not the same people and we're not in line. First of all, they want an apology. I want money. And the second thing that they want is to be repatriated, even though these dumbasses have never been to the place that they don't even know what repatriation means. You're not a patriot of any African country, dipshit. But they want to be repatriated. Over 10 million Africans were stolen, shoplifted off the west coast of Africa. By who? And who are the people? Nobody. Just ghosts. Some ghosts stole them and brought them over here. We don't want to offend anybody, so we'll just say they were stolen. That just shows how weak this whole thing is and how it was this was written by white people. They were forcefully transported to the Caribbean, and then they want to move everybody, all of the people of African descent, to Africa, even though they're not from there. They didn't really say where, just sprinkle them around like salt. And then they want the indigenous peoples, like Kamala, part of Kamala's lineage, they want them to stay there. They don't even know what the hell is happening, but they get to have all of the Caribbean islands to themselves so they can look dumb and not know what to do. Okay. And they need a development program because they don't even know what's going on. They're not leading the islands. Now they need some cultural institutions. Why don't you already have those? So what have you been doing over there? Just laying on the beach? They're having a public health crisis, according to them. They need illiteracy eradication. So they're still illiterate. And we have to argue and fuss with these imbeciles all the time. And they're asking to be literate and telling us we don't have any schools when they're in the schools getting scholarships. Now they want to also, even though by now they're already over in Africa where they imaginarily came from, they want an African knowledge program. Well, we have been ripped away from our identity. And we don't know where we belong, so we need to learn how to be African again. Can you? That's request number 7. Okay, they need to learn how to be African again. What is that? Shimmy up a tree and eat a monkey alive? Is that what you're gonna learn? You tell me. And then they also need some psychological rehabilitation. I agree with that. They are certainly out of their minds. They need some technology. Okay. Don't you guys have technology that you're cussing us out on? I'm not going to go for that. You don't need any more technology. You need less Wi-Fi. And finally, they're asking for debt cancellation because, of course, they've been getting loans from the white boy and not able to ever repay it back because they don't know how to build up the island and make it worth anything. And it's all sold out, and everybody's making money off of tourism but them. That's the 10-point plan. It is horrible. And you know what? I just want to say all of these things that I just read are the same stupid things that poured out of a bunch of Caribbean people's mouths when they were on those task forces speaking about reparations. They wanted us to agree to go to Ghana for our reparations. Hell no. Thank you.
Well, here's Wani. I'm about to put some in the Jumbotron that really begs an important question. They want unity, Pan-African unity, right? While simultaneously being subservient and following in lockstep with the British Crown. Isn't that a contradiction in terms?
Well, okay. This is going to be interesting. Remember how Gandhi was over there saying everybody was kafirs or kafirs? I don't know how it sounds.
It's kefir.
Kefir. Okay, I had it on kefa. And he didn't care about them. He just wanted Indians to have rights and be able to go in the hunky door, but he didn't care about anyone else having any kind of rights, and clearly said that. So what the Cape Coloreds are, they're built on the Gandhi framework. They're mixed. They're Zulu and whatever, any kind of African and any kind of European and some Indians. Okay, so what they're doing over there, they're saying we're Cape Coloreds. We're not African, so we should get some extra credits for the same reason the Dominicans think that they're hot stuff, because they're yellow. Okay? How many groups think that they have some right to a privilege for being lighter skinned? And literally, they're over there doing apartheid. They are part of apartheid. They're saying they actually have more land than people of African descent solely. They have tangible benefits from being yellow or lighter skinned. That's insane. I'm not teaming up with them. They don't have the right attitude. They're apartheidist, just like the people we fought. They're doing it. And I don't like it when people do that. I don't like it when people get removed from a gas chamber and come over and immigrate to America and then start gang fights with Black Americans over here in Philadelphia, like they did with my mother. All of those Ellis Island immigrants and all of those people that came over after the Holocaust, they came right over to be racist over in Philadelphia. So no, I don't like that attitude. You didn't learn a lesson from the Holocaust, and these people didn't learn a lesson from apartheid.
And Gandhi again. Was Gandhi in lockstep with the British crown? You know what I'm saying? I think he went to Cambridge or Oxford School of Law. I'm going to say Cambridge Law School. And Dick Gregory said that Gandhi, according to Dick Gregory, Gandhi was a tool of psychological warfare on behalf of the British. So, I mean, are we looking at some sophisticated psyop? You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Why don't we see this?
He was teamed up with Blavatsky. Everybody who Blavatsky is near is some sort of propped up tool.
Yeah, I got to give it to him. If you're right, Wani, and if our theories are correct, these Germanic, really German people that pretend to be English, they got a really airtight psychological warfare plan. This shit is deep, and it's long game like a mug. You know, got to give it to them. Yep. I put a picture up there of Gandhi with the smile up there, smiling with the British. That picture with King Charles is of Jamaica. You know, you got Jamaican high brass field grade officers walking behind the king. I mean, how can they unify with us when they're how can there be a global solidarity within the Negro or African a world power structure if they're subservient to shit?
Well, not only are they subservient, which we've experienced with West Africans, but when you speak about Cape Coloreds, and this is where Tyler has rubbed people up the wrong way, they just got the tail end of the attitude, but I have received vicious blows from Cape Coloreds. They're very hostile. You know how the Somalis are hostile and they call us nappy-headed Jadirs and all this stuff. And it's like, you guys have nappy hair, though. But I don't understand things. Their attitude is some of us don't have nappy hair because we have more Indian hair. So we're going to judge ourselves by the more Indian, straight-haired looking ones and ignore the nappy-headed ones. And we're going to attack you for being a nappy-headed hoe, but we're not going to claim that we have the same nappy-ass head. This is that's really insane. And the same thing with the Somalis. They don't have straight hair. Some of them have softer hair, but they look like aliens. So who cares what an alien has? Okay? You're not cute. Now, I don't know where they're getting their self-esteem, but they have some of the most hostile, I have received some of the most hostile attacks, calling me a nappy-headed monkey, and every name under the book. And I look at the person, and they look like a black person with nappy hair. But they're very aggressive about it, and it's very strange. It's brain damage.
Yep, 0 to 5. They're being taught West Africa has a different story. They're 0 to 5 as they're taught all these fantasies, and they end up believing them. You know, everything is fantastical and magical, and they really believe this stuff. Well, when you go to East Africa, like Claude Anderson brought up, they were superimposed. Islam was a version of Islam was superimposed. No disrespect to Islam or Christianity, but weaponized versions were superimposed upon them. So they're not even operating upon their own spiritual system. Their mind has been hacked and co-opted, and they don't even believe it. It reminds me of what I was taught. Let's just say I have a friend who knows a lot about the Dominican Republic and Haiti, and she was telling me that it's funny. She was telling me that the Dominican Republic, when they broke off from Haiti, because they didn't want to be ruled by black people, they literally formed a line in the sand and said, "This is Dominican Republic." Well, my point of bringing this up, and I'll be quick, is she was telling me that the Catholic Church in Dominican Republic gave them the opportunity to be white. So you could have somebody jet black with coarse hair that all of a sudden says, "I'm white now." You're right, Wani. It's insanity.
Right. They're taking the yellowest person over there and using that as a proxy for all of them.
Yep.
Just like the Cape Coloreds.
Wow.
You know what I was just thinking about as I was listening? A lot of what we foundational Black Americans went through in the United States, even going back to yesterday's topic about the one drop rule and having a Black mother raising a biracial child. So I saw something on TikTok where a girl that was biracial was talking about, she's like, "I'm biracial, but my father, I guess her father is white or non-black and her mother's black." And she's like, that Black mother taught her to be Black. And for the most part, biracial children that have a white father but a Black mother, they tend to have closer ties and connections to their Black identity. Tend to. I'm not going to always say they do. You have Tia and Tamara Mowry, two twins, both of them with a Black mother. I don't know if she's Caribbean or FBA, but one of them leans heavily towards being Black, whereas the other, you can't quite figure out what's going on with her. But the reason why I bring all of that up and how children are raised in that 0 to 5 is that one drop rule really forced biracial children at a point to have to be Black whether they wanted to be or not. No different than segregation. In a way, bred a necessity for foundational Black Americans to have the traditional Black family. We didn't have a choice. We didn't have a choice if we wanted to buy or shop with white people. A lot of things we got later on because of integration and all of these laws that said, okay, Black and white people can marry, or okay, fine, there's no more colored water fountains or colored schools or this or that. But there was a point when, by law, we had no choice But to be black, to be colored, to be Negro, you didn't get a choice to, well, I'd like to be mixed. I'd like to be biracial. Yeah, the people that could pass, they had a choice. But some people, they didn't have a choice. You were just black. And the other thing that I wanted to mention that I forgot to mention last night is one of my favorite movies is Imitation of Life. It has nothing to do with today's topic. But I think that that's a really interesting movie about just, again, how people could pick and choose if they could pass. But if they couldn't pass, no, you had to be black. So from 0 to 5, that's instilled in us differently than I think any and everybody else.
Well, that's really interesting. I'll make my comment after Dwayne. Dwayne's been up here a little while. Dwayne, what's on your mind, bro?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Doing good, bro.
Got call. If I was going to say something real quick. Okay. How you doing, Wani? How you doing, Kush?
Hey, Dwayne.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I hear you.
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna give my submission, and I got a long follow-up as well, but I'll wait till y'all circle back around, and I'll give my follow-up. What I'm thinking about. Man, where do I start with this topic? For generations, we as autochthonous people of this land, the lineage who blood, labor, and genius built the foundation of the United States people, have been told to subscribe to all these ideologies. It never fails, generation upon generation upon generation. We have to subscribe to these ideologies. We got side with this side. Even with these current elections, we had to pick a side instead of picking our side. That really blurs our identity, dilutes our political claim, and redirect our economic focus away from ourselves. So Pan-Africanism, while romanticized in theory, what you brought up, Professor, has often been weaponized against us in practice. It places our struggle in a foreign frame that makes our homeland secondary to a global agenda that rarely, if ever, reciprocates materially and tangibly. So the question is whether scam Africanism has ever inspired solidarity. It is who actually benefits from it today, not us. And when you strip away these slogans, the answer is really clear. It's not us. It disproportionately benefits those who are not of our lineage, not of our ethnic group, often at our expense. But I'm going to be blunt. I'm going to be blunt. Can I be blunt?
Go ahead, bro.